An immaculate inning. 9-pitch, 3 strikeout. Rarely happens in baseball.
Welcome, everybody, to the next edition of the Immaculate Inning podcast. Great to be here today. Drew here with Shane. And boy, do we have some things to talk about. Postseason is well underway. The playoffs are just trudging along, And we've got some things have happened since the last time we recorded. One series has already been decided. Potential for another series to get decided while we're recording, so we've got some fun stuff to talk about. So I think with that we can just head right into the series that's already done. The Texas Rangers. Let's when we talk about this, I think it's fair. Me and Shane both doubted them. We cannot deny their victory. The Rangers swept the Orioles.
Yes, this was rough. I mean, just rough as a baseball fan. I feel like just because I feel like the whole world was rooting for the Orioles. I mean, this was in dramatic fashion too. I mean, it looked like the Orioles were the Orioles 2 years ago. It was really poor. But I'll let you get it kicking off. And it's true.
I mean, I don't know what more I can say. I mean, the Orioles just did not show up to play. They had one good performance on the mound from Bradish in game one. Grayson Rodriguez looked awful. He just didn't look like he was ready for the moment. Texas, all in all, outscored Baltimore. So that's 14, and then so 21, so 10, 21 to, what was that, 15, I believe. So they handily won this series. They were able to avoid some scary outings by Aroldis Chapman, who does not look good, and that is maybe a point of concern for the Rangers moving forward. Their bullpen just looks increasingly thin, but my takeaway is just how bad the Orioles looked. I mean, they just looked at the plate. They just looked awful. Really, the only guy to even I don't even know who you point to that had a good series. Shane, unless you can kind of.
Gunnar Henderson was his first postseason home run. He did go 2 for 4 in that second game.
Yeah.
But you're right. Even him, he didn't have kind of a tremendous series. They really needed to push him over. Actually, I can say he batted 500 for the series. He went 3 for 4 his last game too. So Gunnar Henderson had a good series. And when looking at it in the grand scheme of things, sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder here. I think this is a tough series to talk about from the Baltimore Orioles perspective, because if you told Orioles fans this at the beginning of the year that they'd be in the DS, get knocked out in the DS, I think they take that as a success. But nobody actually expected them to be number 1 seed in the AL, have the third best record in baseball, second best record in baseball. Second. So it's just like, when you really put things in perspective with the young talent they have going forward, I think we're going to see the Orioles in the playoffs for the next 5 years. Like, I'm confident about that. It's just it's disappointing in the sense that they were the 1 seed, but I do want to give a shout out to an Orioles team that had a very good year and surpassed expectations a lot. And I think speeding up their timeline to an eventual World Series, I do think. I don't know. I can't say I think that they'll win one, but I think they'll be in contention for one for plenty of years to come. So.
They're definitely poised to make a run for a World Series here. They still have talent on the way. Like, they are not even fully at the big league level yet. But I think as much as this kind of stings for Orioles fans, I really do, and how bad they looked. I think my biggest takeaway from the series is the Rangers. Like, they were able to avoid a bad outing by Jordan Montgomery, and the offense put up 11 runs, and then the bullpen was able to, at the end of the game, kind of close it out after kind of a shaky game the whole time. But I mean, just the offense. I mean, it just looks as explosive. It looks like it did in the first half. Um, that was kind of a concern. They were dealing with some injuries. They were really sluggish. They weren't. Adolis Garcia was ice cold. Really the only consistent player who was consistent and not injured was Marcus Simeon. And then obviously Evan Carter, their call up, the right fielder for them, the 21-year-old who just has incredible plate discipline. But I mean, Josh Young, I mean, looked amazing. He was mashing this weekend. Dolis Garcia, 2 home runs. Corey Seager had a 5-walk game, which is just insane. He walked over half of his plate appearances in the last 2 games. I mean, really, he was just locked in. So I mean, just great performances, and then Nasty Nathan Eovaldi stepping up again in the playoffs and in a deciding game. I mean, what he did, he went 7 innings, no runs or 1 run, and then 2 hits and 7 Ks or something like that. Like, just dominated from the get go.
I have it up right here. 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 7 Ks. A guy that's been there, done that. Has a chip with the Red Sox, so
Yep.
looking for his second one. I mean, this was, and I was going to make this comparison too when we get there later on, but this team really strikes me as the American League Phillies. I mean, they're just like, you go through their lineup, and the Phillies, like, first 6 guys are like guys that, like, you debate intentionally walking if you got in a situation where there's run. Like,
Yeah.
they have Marcus Semien, and this isn't a little bit different order in the Rangers, but Marcus Semien, Corey Seager, even Mitch Garver batted 400 this series. Adolis Garcia, the way Evan Carter's hitting, Josh Young. You can even debate that Jonah Heim and Lau are not guys you want to face. I mean, the only
No.
guy that I'd really want to confident getting out is Tavares in that lineup,
Yeah.
and that's the strength. I mean, this series was kind of disappointing again for the Orioles, just because the Orioles are a better story. Obviously, they're also a team that's like they developed this talent. This Rangers team went out and bought pretty much every single one of these players. I mean, you can cite the Garcia one as a development because they got him. I don't remember from what team, but they didn't. He wasn't great in his last team, and they turned him into something. But the Simeon, the Seager, those guys, Evaldi, uh, even the Scherzer, they went out and bought these guys. So it's a little disappointing in that sense. But the Rangers are doing what they intended, buying big and competing immediately. So
Yeah. Garcia they acquired from Seattle or St. Louis, sorry, in 2018. 2020 was not great, but then in the past 3 full seasons, he's posted above a 3 WAR in each season. So 3 WAR in 21, and then 22 a 3.6, and then this year a 4.8. So he seems to be blossoming. And obviously Evan Carter is a guy who they've developed really well. And then kind of one of the prospects who there was some noise on the street who could potentially make a postseason roster. Their first round draft pick, Wyatt Langford out of Florida, who has been tearing it up in the minors. Some people were toying around the idea of him getting called up if the Rangers offense didn't figure it out. So obviously he's been tearing it up. I can pull up his stats right now, but yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Like for the Orioles, a lot of their talent is homegrown. But I think the Rangers have a really good mix of homegrown talent, but also go out and get big name guys. So for Wyatt Langford across in AAA, he has 26 plate appearances. He's hitting 368 with 538 OBP and a 526 slugging for WRC plus of 177. I mean, those are his lowest numbers basically across the 4 levels. So he's a guy who in the next couple of years, you could be seeing at the big league level. But it definitely stings for Orioles fans. But I think this is more about the Rangers returning to form as opposed to kind of the Orioles falling flat on their faces. This is a young Orioles team that really hasn't been in the big moment and hasn't really had to perform under a lot of pressure. They've been able to kind of play their game, and I think we'll be seeing them again. We'll see a better outcome definitely in the future from them. So
I agree. Team to look out for the future. A lot of good young players, and tip a hat for a great season.
yeah. All right. Unless you have anything else to say there, I imagine that we can move on to our next series.
Fires me up this series because this is my honorary team
man.
for the playoffs. I'm fired up
I
about
mean,
this.
not to be a hater or anything, but this next series brings great joy to my heart. The Los Angeles Dodgers, the number 2 seed in the NL, third best record in MLB. What is this? The 10th time out of 11 years they've won the AL West, 7 or 8 straight years, all that, making the NLDS and all that. And oh man, they are down 2-0 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Finished 16 games back of the Dodgers. Not the 6th seed. What were they? The 5 seed,
They
right?
were this.
No,
No, they were the 6th seed.
they were the 6th seed. The
They
6th
beat
seed.
they beat the Brewers.
They beat the Brewers in convincing fashion. Really, really didn't mess around in that series. I mean, wow. I mean, this is I love this, Braves fan, not a big Dodgers guy. But also, I mean, seeing a team who hasn't been there in a long time, finding great success after, almost almost missing the playoffs. So yeah, Shane, I mean, what are your big takeaways so far?
I mean, the big takeaways for me is that this Diamondbacks team is doing what's advertised on the one side of the ball. We knew their pitching was elite, especially front end of the rotation with Merrill Kelly, who went 6 1/3 scoreless innings first game, and then Zach Gallen backed it up with a 5 1/3 2 earned run start. And I mean, we knew that those two pitchers could do it. Um, and so, I mean, that wild card series, if that Brewers series really a toss up for me because you win 2 games, you win it. So you put those two pitchers out there against any team, I really think it could go either way. But the surprise is just turning it on at the right time. These young um, hitters, these rookie hitters, Corbin Carroll, Moreno, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I mean, these guys are turning it on at the right time.
Alec
An
Thomas.
11-2 win. Alec Thomas, 11-2 win, and then a 4-2 win. I guess the 4-2 isn't as symbolic as that, or doesn't capture as much. But this is really exciting, and especially if the Phillies win that series. Sorry, Drew. Um, I really think the Diamondbacks could be in for something special. I mean, the Braves and Phillies are both really good, but um, I'm really excited about this. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my takeaways is what a crazy thing this would be. What an upset. Game 3 tonight, they're throwing I don't know how to pronounce his name, Fad
No idea.
versus Lance Lynn, who's prone to having blowups. So we'll see. I kind of want to fire another question back at you, Drew. This being that a series that we don't have 3 games, or I guess more than 2 games of substance on, what's like, where do you expect this series to end? Do you think it's possible? It's always possible, but do you think it's likely that the Dodgers come back from this? Like, what is your take on?
I mean, the Dodgers with that lineup are always poised to kind of to come back. They are always a dangerous team with the way that they've constructed their lineup, even if it's maybe not quite as powerful as we're used to seeing. But the combination of Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts at the top of the lineup, especially with Will Smith, Max Muncy, you've got uh James Outman in center field, but you know, it's I mean, they're always a a chance for them to come back, but the rotation is just such a question mark for me, just because we've seen them. I mean, the game one statement, chasing Clayton Kershaw in the first inning before he didn't even record an out, I don't think. Just really jumping out to these leads really quickly in the game, first, second innings, getting out to leads so far has really been a big takeaway for me. So, I think that they can come back, but I think it's so tough because you've got the Diamondbacks pitcher tonight going against Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, big fastball guy, big home run guy, big strikeout guy. So there's potential that, this team, I mean, this D-backs team, I feel like for a young team, they're pretty mature. Like Corbin Carroll, he strikes out some, but is not a strikeout machine. Like Christian Walker, their first baseman, big power guy. He strikes out some, but it's not a crazy, strikeout number guy. I'd have to look up some of the numbers on some of the other players. So there's always potential that they come back, but even if I think they win tonight, I mean, you've got Kelly, then Gallen, 4 and 5. So I mean, it kind of is just like they've got to assume a lot. They've got to pick it up a lot because, if we're being honest, who do the Dodgers even start the next 2 days? Are they going to throw Kershaw out there again? Are they going to throw his retired arm out there again? Like where are they going to go? They have nowhere to go. So,
I mean, I think you got to, right? I mean, obviously, if it goes to a game 5, Bobby Miller's kind of the clear
yeah,
starter.
but he has not looked great.
No, I mean, he has one playoff start. I mean, this is indubitably the biggest surprise of the playoffs, kind of like the Phillies were last year. Um,
Yeah.
like it's just crazy to me that I mean that's why baseball's so great. So you can just get teams like this that make a run. Teams that I mean this team had a negative 15 run differential during the game or during this regular season. Like what? Um,
Absurd.
absurd. And they get 2 games in Arizona. And I was looking at their splits. They are 5 games, or excuse me, 43 and 38 at home and 41 and 40 away. So they do have a little better splits at home, not crazy home field advantage, but I mean, home playoffs, postseason crowds are different, especially in a city that hasn't seen a postseason team in a while.
Oh yeah.
So
And
yeah,
Arizona has a dome, right?
yes, they do.
Oh, so that could be that could place a factor on the noise, keeping the noise in. So that'll be interesting.
I'd love to be there right now. I'd love to
Oh, that'd
be
be
in the
so much
pool
fun.
watching the
Mm.
D-backs sweep a Dodgers. That'd be
That
crazy.
would be awesome. One thing too that I just remembered. So, we kind of noted that the Diamondbacks finished 16 games back of the Dodgers in the regular season. This would be, I believe, the second largest differential in regular season schedule upset. So I can't remember who it is, but I think the Dodgers have been a part of the last 3 because it was the 2021 Braves and the NLCS or NL. When did that? Yeah, NLCS when the Braves went on to win the World Series. Then last year, when San Diego beat them in the NLDS, and then potentially this year. So the Dodgers will be a part of the last three biggest um, game differential upsets. So, not saying that the franchise is in shambles or the Dodgers should be firing people or, that I don't know, like, they'll be okay. But it is an interesting kind of point to note that they have been a part of some big upsets recently. So maybe there will be some changes in philosophy or maybe they go get some big name free agents in the offseason, sign them to long-term deals, and we see the Dodgers go on a roll for the next 5 or 6 years. But yeah, I mean, it's been so fun watching the Diamondbacks win. I mean, I saw them win game 1 against the Brewers, and I was like, oh, let's go. Like, this is awesome, and here they are, and with the lineup's been playing well, and the starting pitching has been good, but I mean, you can't take away from what the bullpen's done so far. I mean, that bullpen's second worst in the second half, only to only above the Rangers. Overall, the whole season, I believe they were like the worst in multiple major statistics. I mean, just the bullpen was abysmal all year, and they've stepped up this year. The storyline coming out of the Brewers series it was like the reversal of roles. Like the Brewers pitching was awful, and then the Diamondbacks pitching was great, and they've carried that into the series against the Dodgers and have set themselves up for a massive upset at home to sweep the Dodgers in convincing fashion and be the first team from the NL to advance to the NLCS, which no one saw. So,
Mhm. No, I mean it's great. It's a series of unsung heroes. I mean,
mhm.
Kevin Ginkle was, I mean, amazing against the Brewers. And you got, I mean, like you said, the bullpen arms like Mantiply. Uh, they've been using their biggest is Thompson. They've been using the most out of the bullpen, but even guys like on the other side of the ball, Moreno,
Yep.
he's not hitting for high average. 2 key home runs. I think we saw him on the Mexican team in the WBC. Actually, it might have been a Venezuelan team, but we said he's kind of made himself a name for himself there, and really has carried it into this year. So it's great. It is really great to see a team like this. This is the underdog story, and
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, and then one thing about Gabriel Moreno too, 23 years old, rookie, and had finished the season with oh sorry, ads are in my way. Finished the season as only a slightly above average hitter. So he stepped it up. He spent only 2 games in AAA this year. Well, yeah. So, but they acquired him from Toronto last year or over the offseason. So he's been he's been really good for them so far in the postseason. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to continue that. If all these young rookies are able to continue their kind of success. So
yeah, and a term that we've come up at Winter Baseball. It's a combination of believe and visualize. We call it Belizalize. So
there
we
you
got to
go.
Belizalize this Diamondbacks team, and I really think they're brave. They should get a postseason T-shirt, which is Belizalize on it.
Oh, absolutely.
Be electric.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So let's just keep on rolling.
This
Let's
one might be a little
uh
painful.
let's keep on rolling. Braves Phillies. Phillies ended game 3 today with the final score of 10-2. Bryce Elder took the loss. Aaron Nola gave up 2 runs. He looked really good. His numbers were he finished the day 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 9 Ks. Elder just didn't have it. We used 5 relief pitchers. Smith Shawver notably gave up 3 earned runs in 2 2/3, 3 homers as well. So the 20-year-old rookie who saw some innings this year really struggled out of the pen. And then Elder obviously gave up 6 runs. A name here who came in at the end of the game, Daysbull Hernandez. A name that not a lot of people will know for the Braves. He is a late last second addition to the Braves. Pitched in 4 games during the regular season, 3 2/3, 6 strikeouts. But pitched really well in the sim games, and so Brian Snitker loved him, loved how well he pitched, and brought him in. Gave up no runs across 1 inning there at the end of the Braves game. So I have a question to ask you, Shane. Um, so you obviously are playing at the next level. You're playing in college, D1 baseball at Winthrop. We've heard a lot about like this the 5 days off. Like, oh, this is gonna kill the Braves. Like, this is the Braves and the Dodgers. They just haven't been able. The Orioles. The 5 days off killed them or whatever. For me, if I get 5 days off going into the postseason, I'm relishing that. I get 5 days that I can rest, I can work out, I can practice. I don't have to play. No pressure, no stress. I get to reset my mind after a long season, and then reload going into the next season. For guys at this level or at the collegiate level, is 5 days off really that impactful? Whereas you come out of the 5 days like you've almost been in hibernation, like because that's how the Braves have looked. Like they look like that especially specifically in game one and for well over half of game two, the bats looked like they had been asleep for the past year. So I'm guessing in your experience, would is that 5 days like to blame? Is that a big deal, or the Braves just are they get ice cold at the wrong time?
I know. I mean, I think it is a big deal. Absolutely. I mean, if we go by what we have now, three of the four teams who had that 5 day break or can be out, um, are leading or already out with the Orioles. And I think it does. I think it's just from a momentum perspective. Um, I mean, the Braves are more well rested. I don't think it really has much on like the pitching and people being like, "Oh, you get more rest and stuff." I don't know if that's much per se. Because the Braves held the inter squad games. Most teams hold those inter squad games to make sure that those pitchers are still getting reps. So you don't really want to get them off schedule. So that extra rest is a little maybe throw them like look a couple less innings in the inter squad. But I mean, Bryce Elder threw 5 innings in the inter squad and then came back out today. So I know that guys like that were still kind of hot and ready. But I really think from a momentum perspective, it absolutely plays a factor. We don't really go through that too much in college because we kind of do play every weekend, every Tuesday and Wednesdays. Um, but from a postseason perspective now, yeah, I mean, if I'm a team like the Phillies, I'd almost prefer playing that wild card series because then you get that fan base engaged. You like you get that stadium up and running. You need that momentum. This team feeds off momentum. We've seen that, and so I mean, yeah, especially for them, they're rolling. I think Phillies and Rangers are the two teams on the take. The Diamondbacks are amazing. They're a little different for me because they just don't generate um same offense as traditionally as like you look at the Phillies offense, really potent offense, regular season, postseason. Same with the Rangers. At Diamondbacks, I'm really hoping to sustain that offense production, but you never know. But yeah, I mean, the momentum absolutely plays a factor, and so especially for the Phillies and Rangers. I mean, just keep riding it. I mean, the Rangers haven't lost a game, so
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, you make good points there, and I guess momentum does play a key factor that I kind of overlooked here. But I mean, the Phillies they look really good. I mean, Aaron Nola looked bad all season. I mean, I watched the first 3 innings. I watched until Bryce Harper hit his first. I mean, it was a moonshot off Bryce Elder. I had to leave. I had to go umpire some little league games. So I was not able to watch the rest of the game, but just keeping up with it on my phone. Obviously not too closely because we were getting blown out. But I mean, Aaron Nola looked like he went back like 3 seasons basically. Like I mean, he looked like he has not looked in at least a year, if not more than that. I mean, his two-seamer, he was dotting on the corners. I mean, he had the backdoor two-seam to the righties coming in on the outside, grazing the outside corner. Same pitch to lefties, the front door coming in on your front hip, and then just front shoulder, front hip, and then just dot in the zone. His knuckle curve was on point. I mean, we really just looked super uncomfortable. And if like Ronald Acuna just does not look like himself. Michael Harris has been awful.
can I say
So I
something real
mean,
quick about Ron Acuna
yeah,
before I forget?
absolutely.
He's really been aggravating me The dude does not run out ground balls, and it annoys the crap out of me. How in this high leverage situation, there's a ground ball in today's game. I believe it was second at bat. He hit it shortstop, Trey Turner. Tough play, backhand. And I'm not saying he would have gotten there. He was out by like a step and a half, jogging down. Get your freaking butt down the line. You were the MVP. Act like it. In this situation, you're really telling me that you're going to do that? And I don't know. I haven't paid attention to the Braves, like watch them closely every game enough to know if he does this consistently.
Yeah,
But
he does
right now,
that.
especially, killing me.
Yeah, he got benched for doing that, and I believe like it was 2019 or before he tore his ACL. He did not hustle down the line. Brian Snitker benched him. I think Freddie Freeman maybe said something to him about it. And then he kind of like was hustling out ground balls. But I was talking to a friend about this too, about his defense, and I really do think like, and I'm not making an excuse, like he should absolutely be hustling down, like especially in the playoffs. Like, during the regular season, like if you hit like an easy grounder, like I understand like not hustling that out, that's fine. But in the playoffs, you should be hustling out every play, every fly out, every ground out, every hit. You should be out of the box flying. And I think that he's still like a little worried about his knee. Obviously, it really hasn't affected him in the box, but I think like once he hits the, I don't know, because he gets out of the box fine on when he. I think he's just like a little lazy. I don't know. I completely agree with you. Like he absolutely should be hustling out every single ground ball that he hits during this time of the year. Like every little thing matters, and so I'm interested to see kind of what happens. Moving forward, because I did notice that about, I believe it was in game one, there was a ground ball or two that I watched that he did not hustle out. He absolutely would have been out, but you know, obviously Trey Turner is pretty sure-handed over that short. But if you're running full speed, you're putting the pressure on the defenders, and there's a chance that they make a bad throw. So, I completely agree with you, Shane, and I find Brian Snitker. That's unacceptable, and we're gonna have a chat about that, because this is must win. We need all the base runners we can get, and he has not performed to the level that he did during the season. He had a double today in the first inning, but I don't know exactly what he did the rest of the game, but he's in the first two games he's been essentially non-existent at the plate. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else you can do for the Braves. I mean, I will say I believe that they are set up really well for these next two games. You've got Strider tomorrow, and then if they win, Fried will be on the mound Saturday for game 5 back at home. So obviously you feel good, um, as good as you can being down 2-1 moving forward. But it's kind of Morton getting hurt, and also Kyle Wright's not basically pitching at all this year really is kind of raising its ugly head right now, with kind of, as much as I love Elder and I love how he approaches the game, he just doesn't quite have the stuff nor the command to be able to kind of effectively pitch in the playoffs. So
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I don't want to upset you, Drew, but I'd probably have to just choose the Phillies just because they're at home, such an electric atmosphere. The way they've been playing is really impressive. But I mean, like you said, the Braves are obviously never out of it in my mind, and the path that they have is not crazy to think they could come back with Strider tomorrow, even if it is on short rest. And then game 5, I guess you get the ball back to Fried, even though he didn't look great in Atlanta. But this Atlanta offense has got to turn it on. It's being one of the best offenses in MLB history. It's been so disappointing.
yeah.
So I think with that we can just go to our next series, which we're hoping to have maybe the result for you of this series by the time we're done with our analysis. But we are talking about the Astros and Twins. Uh, as we speak right now, the Astros are up 2-1 and are beating the Twins in the top of the ninth of Game 4, 3-2, um, in Minnesota. So the Astros took Game 1, the Twins took Game 2, and the Astros then went to Minnesota and took one in Minnesota. So kind of crazy that the Twins took one, I guess. I mean, this is an Astros team that we've seen, per se, in the past couple of years where they've been super dominant. But I mean, they have done what they need to do. Um, Urquidy went today. Garcia went yesterday. Actually looked really good. Probably the best
Yeah.
Garcia's looked in a while. Or Javier, shoot, excuse me, Christian Javier.
Since
Last quote.
his last start, last postseason. It's the best he's looked since then.
Yeah. Um, then they've been kind of interesting the way they've been doing it, bringing Hunter Brown out of the bullpen. He went yesterday, gave up a um, couple runs, so not the greatest outing for him. But then they have obviously Verlander um, and Valdez, who actually Valdez is the one that took the loss. Um, and Verlander had a really good showing, 6 scoreless innings, if I'm correct on that. Yes, six
Yeah.
scoreless innings. So um, I guess Verlander, Valdez, Javier, and I guess Urquidy is going to be their fourth guy. So still a Astros rotation that can really shut you down. And then the bats, Altuve, Bregman, Alvarez, Tucker, Abreu, who's having himself a series, 3 bombs.
Yeah.
Drew mentioned that to me. I always love Abreu. But yeah, I mean, Jordan Alvarez batting 438 for this series. Jose Abreu 267, Brantley 300, Chas McCormick 364. So doing what the Astros do. I don't know if you have really any comments on that.
Oh yeah. I mean, they are. I mean, it's pretty funny how they just. I mean, kind of looked asleep for most of the regular season. We're able to kind of edge the Rangers there at the end and kind of take the division. But I mean, I wasn't super confident in this team going into the playoffs. Like I didn't see them as a serious World Series contender, but I mean, gosh, I mean, how could I have done that? That was not very. I mean, the Astros in the playoffs, man. I mean, they turn it on to another gear. 5 days off, 7 days off. They don't care, man. I mean, that lineup shows up and bangs. I mean, what was it? Jose Altuve first pitch of the ALDS cranks one off of who was it off of? Oh
Wouldn't have
man, I
been
can't remember now. Sonny
was it
Gray, right?
Pablo Lopez?
No, Pablo Lopez was game two. I believe it
Sonny
was
Gray
Sonny
pitched
Gray.
game 3.
Oh,
No,
oh, so no.
might have been
Okay.
Joe Ryan. Let me see.
Yeah, I think it was Joe
Uh,
Ryan. Because yeah, Joe Ryan's would go game
it's Bailey over.
oh
Wow, we were
Bailey
all wrong.
over. Okay. So yeah. But I mean Jordan Alvarez, I mean he played 114 games this season, so missed a good part of the season and really didn't look very comfortable at any point during the season. Was still really good, but it was maybe a little bit of a down year for him. I mean, but he is once again asserted himself as the best hitter on the planet. So yeah, I mean, this kind of stinks for Minnesota. I think that they're probably like a year or two away. They did call up Byron Buxton today because they put I believe it was who did they put on the IL? So Byron Buxton pinch hit, did not get a hit. He pinch hit for Michael Taylor there, but yeah, I mean Minnesota, they've been really good. They looked really strong in the wild card round there against Toronto. Um, by no means have they been a disappointment. I don't think. I mean, they've all the games have been competitive against the Astros, maybe except for that game one, just because Verlander shut them down. And let's be honest, like Verlander did not have his A+ stuff that game either. I mean, he just kind of he showed why he was so good. He went out there and shut them down with his not the best stuff. So Minnesota, this is if you're a Minnesota fan, this is very reassuring. Kind of seeing them compete in the playoffs and win a series. This gets you excited for years to come, especially with the arrival of Royce Lewis and kind of his success. Although yesterday, he did not play well. They left a lot of runners on base. Yeah, and then kind of like what I mentioned with the Astros, their lineup, but also Christian Javier. This was a guy who I had kind of mentioned during the season who I believe they needed to step up come postseason time because he really was supposed to be like the number 2 for them and kind of pitched himself out of that. Even before they got Verlander, was really struggling, continued to struggle, and then turned in a great performance last night. So yeah, I mean the Astros are going to continue rolling. I think that they win. Let's see, bottom of the
Bottom
ninth.
nine.
So Ryan Presley is on to pitch for the Houston Astros. So we will see where this one goes. We'll end shortly while we're recording, but I think the Astros win this one. Ryan Presley's been really good all year, all postseason. So
Yeah, I want to just question a move by the Twins today. And I guess I kind of understand it, but they pulled Joe Ryan after 2 innings. He did give up a 2-run bomb to Michael Brantley in the second inning. Um, Royce Lewis hit a bomb in the first inning for the Twins to jump out to a 1-0 lead, which was then turned and turned into a 2-1 lead for the Astros. But I mean, Joe Ryan's been pretty good this year, and I don't think. I mean, obviously the Twins don't have the greatest bullpen. I don't know if I quite understand pulling him after 2 innings, 26 pitches. What are your? I probably this is the first time you're hitting this year, just from because you're not following the game that intensely. But what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, that's to me that's super surprising. This has been a trend that we've seen in the playoffs this year. With Jose Barrios for the Blue Jays there in the wild card round, and then Ranger Suarez gets pulled early in Game 1 for for the Phillies against the Braves. And yeah, so I and yeah, so I
Blue
just
Jays, Barrios.
yeah Barrios yeah. So I disagree with this move. Like I hate it when this happens. Like if you've got a starter like Joe Ryan who's been good all year, yeah, he gives up a 2-run bomb, but let him ride, see what happens. Like Jose Barrios, oh my gosh, I mean, couldn't have been more dominant in that game, and then they pull him for the matchups. This was kind of one thing that I've noticed. Like the Braves have really been like in that game when they were hunting the matchups, like they switched up the lineup, trying to match up against the Phillies, trying to throw off their game plan. Like I kind of I kind of draw the line at where you're kind of become this obsessive with finding the right matchup, because at the end of the day, like this is the major leagues. These guys get paid to do this, and you've got to put the bat in their hand, put the ball in their hand, and trust that they're going to go out there and perform. Like Joe Ryan's been great all year. Has been a really good, really solid pitcher. Has really stepped up for this rotation that's had a lot of kind of a smaller named guys really step up. So I mean, in my opinion, you let him ride. If he gets into some trouble, then you can probably pull him, tell him to slow the game down, get somebody up in the pin. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what this does. I mean, I don't think it really ended up hurting the Twins. They gave up two runs later on in the fourth inning, so
The
it
Brantley
didn't
home run
really.
was a solo shot. Excuse
Yeah,
me, by the
see,
way. I wanted
I
to
see
correct
that.
that.
I see that now. My bad. So I mean, who's to say what would have actually happened? But it it seems to have worked out. But yeah, I don't like
Yeah,
it.
it's
Put the ball
interesting.
in your guy's hand and let him go. Let him roll.
Yeah, I did a quick little Twitter search. You can obviously find a lot of things on Twitter. It was definitely a mixed bag from Twins fans. A lot of people saying the first one that came up, funny enough, was this is the best that the Twitter person I didn't catch their handle, but said that it was the biggest mistake that Rocco has ever made. Coach of the Twins was pulling him. A couple other people were F Joe Ryan. I'm guessing that's after the bomb. Didn't trust him. Some hate towards Ober and
Yeah.
but I think this really and Ober and Ryan, and this really comes back to like the rant that I went on at the trade deadline. And I don't know if you remember that rant, Drew, about how I went on about the Twins, like about them not going and getting anybody
Oh
when they
yeah,
have a
they just kind of
free.
they held pat. Yes, I do remember this.
I was talking on the offensive side, but even on the offensive side here, dude, I think this is where it comes into play. Like even you see them win a division, or win the division, win a playoff series, win a playoff game for the first time in what 18 years, and then
Hmm.
like it just stalls out because you guys don't make any moves. Like it's just an unexciting team that doesn't make any moves. Good for them for winning a playoff series, but I really don't think it's going to change. I don't think they're going to get much further if they don't do something. That's
Yeah.
why I just think you have to change the identity of what you're trying to do this offseason a little bit. Carlos Correa obviously was a big signing a couple years ago. And to be fair to him, he has stepped up. He's batting 409 this postseason.
Oh yeah, he's been
Um,
great.
First time I've actually cheered for Carlos Correa since the cheating scandal. I thought it would be cool to him to beat the Astros. But yeah, it's just I think this is really where it comes to the point where the Twins are getting bit in the butt because of what the lack of action that they took.
Yeah, I mean, and I think obviously, like I agree with you. I think that they should have made a move at the deadline, especially on the offensive side of things. But I really do think that they're counting on Byron Buxton to be healthy and to get healthy in the second half, and he just didn't do that. Even when he was on the field, he didn't perform. So, you know, I mean, I completely agree. Like you're gonna have to change kind of your team philosophy this offseason if you want to see success next year. I mean, obviously, I think we can both agree that the AL Central was handed to them this year by the Cleveland Guardians kind of selling and then at the last minute scrambling. And actually, the Guardians ended up finishing behind the Tigers. The Tigers actually ended up getting second in that division. Funny enough. So that I mean, that division was essentially handed to them. But kind of seeing them, topple Toronto was really nice. Royce Lewis just struck out, so 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. Max Kepler is now batting for the Twins down to their last out. So, I mean, that was a good postseason win for them against a good Toronto team. But, if you want to continue, you've got to make some moves.
Yeah, I really do believe, and it's just better for the game of baseball to see more exciting players on the field, obviously. So
Yep.
we'll let the rest of that game play out, and I was going to detail the rest of the NLDS schedule. So tomorrow, if necessary, well, tomorrow for sure, we will get Braves Phillies at 6:07 p.m. If necessary, depending on the Dodgers Diamondbacks, we will get that at 9:07 p.m. tomorrow. And Friday, if necessary, if the Twins do pull off something special here, we would get that Friday at 8. And then we have the potential Game 5 NLDS series Saturday. Sunday would be an off day. Oh, excuse me. Sunday would start the ALCS. Um, October 15th, Rangers versus likely the Astros, but it could be the Twins. And then Monday would start that NLCS as long as the second ALCS game. So just looking ahead, so again, some more exciting baseball coming up. And the the Twins are down to their final strike.
Yep.
Um,
3-2 full count.
so I think me and Drew are both eyeing this game.
We are.
We'll give you an insight into that. But we want to thank the viewers for tuning in.
I do.
And
We do have two things that we would like that we're as there we go. Max Kepler strikes out there, called strike three. So the Twins season is now over. The Astros advance. They will play the Rangers in the Lone Star Battle for the ALCS starting Sunday, correct?
yes.
Okay. So yeah. That's a slightly, not a disappointing end to Minnesota. Definitely some things to look forward to next year, but definitely the recognition of kind of the need to go out and improve your team, probably through the free agent mark. Duran did throw 2 scoreless innings today, so that was good to see him kind of stretch 2 innings. Something he doesn't do a whole bunch, but does do every now and again. So with that, before we head out, just some kind of miscellaneous news here. Rentario Sasaki, excuse me if I have mispronounced that. Probably considered the best high schooler in Japan is going to forgo the NPB draft and actually enter in college in America in the NCAA. So he will be eligible for the MLB, I believe, probably. See, so he is would be entering. So 3 years he'll be eligible. That'll put him at 2026. So potentially like almost like 5 years earlier than he would be if he would have went to the NPB. So potential to make some big money in the NIL portal or NIL deal, and then obviously we'll most likely get drafted as after his junior year. So that's pretty big. I don't know if you have any real thoughts on that, Shane. I saw you celebrating. What are we celebrating?
Diamondbacks 2 solo home runs at the bottom of the third, up 2-0 right now. Perdomo and Marte both hit a home run.
Oh,
So
let's go the Snakes,
uh,
baby, the Snakes.
we said it. I mean, Lance Lynn is prone to getting hit hard.
Yes.
Obviously, a lot of game left, but that
Oh,
I
yeah.
was celebrating that. He's currently pitching to your boy Christian Walker, so maybe we can make it 3 home runs in an inning here.
That would be
The
awesome.
Sasaki situation, I think it's pretty cool. I think it might set. I don't really know the Japanese baseball system as well, but maybe it sets a new precedent for younger players coming over and playing American college baseball, getting the MLB quicker.
Yeah.
So excited to see him. I know that Vanderbilt and Cal are his top
Mm.
teams, and maybe we'll play him. I know there's been talks of us getting Tennessee on our schedule next year, so
Oof.
maybe Vanderbilt will come up. Yeah,
Those will be rough. Those are some good programs. So I do have a
yeah.
trivia question, Shane.
Oh,
So this is you'll get this is a two-parter. There's two answers to this. So I'll give you kind of well, we'll see if you can guess, and then if not, I can give you the pairings. But so here's the question. So the question is, who are the only two players to reach more than 200 career strikeouts in the playoffs
from the pitching side.
from the pitching side?
Okay, I was about to say that's a lot of strikeouts for a hit.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Let's go Roger Clemens.
No.
Dang. Okay, let's think about who's been in the playoffs over and over again. So Yankees players. Um, Randy Johnson would be kind of, I guess, but I don't think he's in the playoffs enough to do that.
No.
Any of them current?
Both actually are current.
Okay, that was gonna be. I know Verlander's then definitely one.
Yep, Verlander is one of them.
And then Scherzer was probably the other, correct?
Nope.
Okay, so that leaves Greinke and Kershaw. I'm just kind of naming. I know this is kind of slop. Kershaw? I don't think he's
Yeah.
no. He hasn't been that good. It's Kershaw.
Yes, it is surprisingly Kershaw.
Interesting. I. Oh my God! I spoken into existence. Christian Walker hit a home
Christian
run.
Walker. Oh, let's go. That is hype.
3-0.
How about that?
Holy moly! Wow, you guys are getting our live reactions here. This is crazy. Our 383-foot bomb from Perdomo, 428-foot bomb from Marte, and a 390-foot bomb from Christian Walker.
Wow.
D-backs are fighting
Pouring
to
it
end
on.
the series
They're
today.
pouring it on, baby. Let's go.
This is awesome. So appreciate the trivia question, Drew. That was fun. I'll come back at you with one next week. And yeah, appreciate everybody for tuning in. And I'll let Drew give patented. Wow, it's a tough word. Sign off.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. So just want to thank everybody for tuning in again. We love doing this, and we love some feedback from y'all. So don't be afraid to DM us or email us. Yeah, but we're just super thankful for everyone, and share us on social media, tell your friends, and all that. So we will see y'all next week.
Peace.